everybody to our consultation of the design of the Blue and the Black Sea program. You will hear it shortened to BBC during today's events. And this is a regional initiative to tackle marine pollution in support of the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea. My name is Oksana Rakovich. I'm the environmental specialist for the Kyiv office, Ukraine office of the World Bank, and I will be moderating the first panel, introduction panel, and a couple of housekeeping moments right now. First of all, as usual for these kinds of meeting, please keep your mic on mute unless you're speaking, or if you have a question or something to raise, you can raise a hand in Zoom, or you can use your chat option. Also, when you speak, please introduce yourself so we can identify you if we need to follow up on the question later after this meeting. Also, this meeting is translated. You can see the interpretation option here. It's translated to Ukrainian and both Ukrainian and English versions are recorded for later posting. As mentioned, we are basically right now, this would be the opening panel, and I would like to invite our first opening speaker, BSEC PERMIS Secretary General, Ambassador Michael Christidis. Your Excellency, our virtual floor for the next 4 minutes is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. It's really a great pleasure and honor to be in the company of all interested stakeholders in the friendly state of Ukraine, a founding member of our organization. Minister Stavchuk, Mr. Director, Mr. Schonberger, Mrs. Bussolini, and all participants, welcome to this important event. Which follows two others that took place, one in Turkey and the other one in Georgia. And of course will be followed by others that will take place in all littoral countries of our Black Sea. Now, we are here in order to promote and understand better the Blueing the Black Sea program, which was created in support of the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea. As you very well know, this Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea and its, let me say, scientific pillar, the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, offered a new dynamic, a new impetus to regional cooperation in our Black Sea region. And I'm very proud to say that our member states and the Secretariat of the organization helped catalyzing these developments. You also know that the main initiatives that these two documents identify are mainly the marine environment, preservation of it. It is the mitigation of climate change and the transition to clean energy. So all of them have been endorsed, as I said, by our littoral member states. And it is our aim and objective to continue with this dynamic with the Blueing the Black Sea program that we will be discussing today. A program that enjoys the support of many international organizations, mainly, of course, of the Global Environment Facility, GEF, the World Bank, the EU, and of course of its implementing agency, which is the BSEC organization. We in the organization are involved already for some time now and promote various other projects which are very much in line with the Common Maritime Agenda. I will not burden you with enumerating any of them, but I'm just mentioning it in order to underline that it was very, very natural for us to accept the honor to be the implementing agency of the Bluing the Black Sea program. And for that, of course, I wish to thank all colleagues which were involved in the development of the discussions we had with the World Bank, mainly Mrs. Berenger Prince and Mrs. Paola Agostini from the World Bank, but also my colleague Rosita Stoiva in the secretariat of our organization. Having said all that, let me underline that what you will be discussing today will be actually formulating, will be defining what the overall picture of this program will be. And this is the reason that we are organizing these consultations, these webinars with the littoral states of the Black Sea and the Republic of Moldova, in order to hear your views, your ideas, and your suggestions. It will be exactly your active involvement that will shape this initiative. And of course, I heartily invite all of you to actively participate and put your small contribution to this edifice we want to build together. Before concluding, I would like to show, as I always do, two very compelling photographs. I hope that my secretariat can do so. These are two photographs by a world-famous photographer, British photographer, Mr. Kurt Taylor, who very generously offered us the permission to use them in the promotion of our efforts to fight pollution in the Black Sea. As you will see, it is a small, innocent baby sitting in an ocean of litter and garbage that we so selfishly throw into our seas. And I believe it is encapsulating in a really very shocking manner the gravity of the situation we have to face, but also the enormous risks for the present and for the coming generations. At the same time, I hope that these compelling photographs can also be a source of inspiration to all of you in order to give more dynamism and come up with more ideas on how to combat plastic litter in our Black Sea and in our oceans generally. So with these words, I wish to thank again the organizers of these webinars and let me say, address another request to all participants, and I see there are already 91 of them, to actively participate and give their own suggestions and input in order to shape a program that will be effective and efficient and that would lead to the establishment of other programs with the help of the same or other international organizations in order to address all the burning issues we have in our region. Thank you for your attention. The virtual or the real microphone back to you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for sobering pictures and for the words of encouragement for everybody to join both this initiative and today's discussion actively. Thank you. I would like to now deliver the scene, so to say, to Ms. Irina Stavchuk, Deputy Minister for Ministry of Environmental Protection and Natural Resources. Please, we would like to kindly hear from you on Ukraine's side on the Black Sea agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources of Ukraine, I would like to welcome all the participants to this event and to the launching of the program, Bluing Program for the Black Sea. This project is very important for Ukraine in the context of learning more about status of Black Sea, sharing the knowledge and improving the cooperation within countries and support of the development of blue economy. What has been done by the ministry or on the national level in Ukraine to get the good status, good environmental status of the Black Sea? So first of all, over the previous years, we've been launching and continue to implement one of the major reform. This is implementation of EU Water Framework Directive, which is fully reforming the systems of monitoring of water resources in Ukraine, but also management of the quality of water resources. And the final goal to get the good environmental status. Also, in the previous years, as part of the regional EMBLAS project, there was conducted a screening monitoring in Black Sea for the 40,000 different polluting compounds. And thanks to this research, there were 8 out of 11 indicators being set up for the monitoring of the Black Sea. From this experience, we've learned that actually Black Sea is very much polluted. 83% of the pollution in the Black Sea is plastic, so PET bottles, packaging, different plastic bags. In the Danube and Dniester rivers, actually every hour from 6 to 50 pieces of waste are getting to the sea, and that the amount of waste in the Black Sea is almost twice as big comparing to the Mediterranean Sea. So the issue is really very important, and we really have to address all these aspects. Also, from the screening which was conducted, there were identified chemical compounds which are harmful to marine ecosystems and health of people, among which there were pesticides, biocides, pharmaceutical compounds, and different household detergents. Through this process, we also identified certain positive news, and that's related to the extinct species which were considered fully extinct, but which were actually found in the Black Sea. And that's a hope for preservation of these species. There are also a number of areas that we are focusing now on the national level. So the Minister of Environment has developed a draft marine strategy. It's now undergoing considerations with different other governmental authorities, and it is open for public consultations. And also after approval of the strategy, there will be developed a 6-year action plan for implementation of the strategy. Also, this year, we plan to strengthen the national entities which are responsible for monitoring of marine ecosystems through the development of laboratories, and hopefully putting in operation a boat, scientific boat. There are also a lot of actions which are happening in the relevant, like not directly to the marine area, but which implementation of which would also reduce pollution. So the first two are related to the phosphorus and nitrate pollution. We are reviewing the technical regulations and norms on the phosphorus in the household and professional detergents, and also strengthening control on the market of compliance to these norms. And the new regulation is now in the process of approval on the governmental level. There is also work happening on the implementation of Nitrate directive in Ukraine, and we also expect that soon the relevant methodologies will be approved on the governmental level. There are also a set of laws which are considered in the Parliament of Ukraine. The one on introduction of integrated permit system for industrial companies and gradual transformation to best available technologies was and this law was yesterday supported by the Environmental Committee of the Parliament, and we hope that it will go for the first reading soon. And also there are a number of laws which expect to be considered at the first reading, and these are the laws on the Emerald Network and the law on environmental control. And there are also laws which are considered for the second reading. This is a framework law on waste management and the law on restriction of the use of plastic bags. Just to summarize, Ukraine is very much interested in cooperation and improvement of both analytical and scientific information about the status of Black Sea, but also in implementation of concrete actions and projects which can improve its status and in the middle or long term getting the good status of Black Sea. So I wish all of us productive and active work and looking forward to implementation of the project.
Thank you, Ms. Stavchuk. Thank you for your relay of Ukrainian realities and plans and priorities. We will do our best to contribute to Ukraine progress on this agenda.
Mrs. Rakovic, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can I make a small suggestion to what we heard from the minister right now?
Sure.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the minister. It was really very interesting. I took note of particular one sentence you said of having a scientific boat continue research in our Black Sea. Madam, allow me to suggest that it would be very nice if you could invite scientists also from neighboring littoral states in order to conduct joint research efforts. This would also give the, how can I say, the collective spirit of cooperation in the region. Forgive me for interrupting just like that, but I think that if we have such a, how can I say, lively discussion with concrete proposals, it might be even more interesting to the participants. So thank you very much, Minister, and thank you very much for considering this off-the-cuff proposal that I made. Mrs. Moderator, the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for suggestion. I hope Ministry does consider that, and we will have one big interesting boat research. Right now, I want to give word to my Regional Director for Sustainable Development, Mr. Steven Schonberger. Mr. Schonberger, floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Oksana, and thank you so much, everyone who's participating for this chance to join you. As Oksana and the World Bank colleagues know, I am just thrilled that the World Bank has the opportunity to participate with you and provide whatever humble support we can to this incredible agenda. And this event as a regional event, going from country to country, sharing experience is really tremendous. You know, today we're really talking about the pollution of the Black Sea, or rather the depolluting of the Black Sea. And, you know, it's extraordinary that the Black Sea, such an important place for recreation, culturally, historically, has through neglect become the most polluted sea in Europe. And this really has happened in over the last 20 years. So it's something that's happened relatively recently, which means hopefully it means that we have the opportunity to turn around this negative tendency. And when we look at it as well through the lens of climate change and the need for decarbonization and building back better from the COVID pandemic, it further enhances the importance of looking at opportunities to address pollution in the Black Sea. As Ambassador Christidis has just emphasized, because the coastal or marine activities in one country can impact the marine resources in another, transboundary challenges obviously require regional solutions. And when we consider the common ecosystem of the Black Sea, it's clear that collaboration, working together, is really going to be the critical challenge. So in terms of the role of the World Bank, clearly recognizing the tremendous environmental, social, and economic importance of the Black Sea for the entire region, we have launched a new Bluing the Black Sea program to support all of the Black Sea countries in taking collective action towards improving the environmental situation. And two significant events really encouraged us to commit to that support. The first was a regional milestone when in May 2019, the Scientific Research and Innovation Agenda and the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea were endorsed by Ukraine, Bulgaria, Georgia, Moldova, Romania, Russia, and Turkey. And this was truly a historic moment for the Black Sea agenda, as all of these countries committed to solid policy actions and to work collaboratively together. Secondly, a global milestone, as research on the role of oceans in the climate agenda has highlighted that oceans can play a much greater role in shrinking the world's carbon footprint than was previously thought. In fact, it can deliver up to 21% of the annual greenhouse gas emission cuts needed in 2050 to limit global temperature rise to 1.5%. And the oceans and seas produce half of the planet's oxygen and absorb 90% of the world's anthropogenic heat. So really, oceans are the great, just as we think of forests as the lungs, the oceans truly are the moderators of the Earth's temperature. And when marine ecosystems are polluted and degraded, of course, the capacity of oceans to play this critical role is depleted. So reducing and preventing pollution is clearly critical, both for the littoral states, but also clearly for the planet as a whole. So with this aim, and through regional collaboration and engagement of the public and private sector and civil society, this program is intended to help countries to implement the Common Maritime Agenda for improved environmental health for the Black Sea and to increase the social and economic benefits. But of course, as we know, the reality of these types of activities is that regional initiatives must be translated into national actions and national awareness that promote economic growth and environmental conservation. There's tremendous economic and environmental importance of the Black Sea for Ukraine, but at the same time, it's also very vulnerable to climate impacts. So we're very pleased that the government of Ukraine is taking such important strides to strengthen the foundation of its resilient growth, and including recently updating the NDCs, increasing the level of Ukraine's ambition in decarbonization, as well as mobilizing domestic and international resources for the most climate vulnerable sectors in terms of both transitions to a lower carbon economy, as well as to address any anticipated adaptation issues. Ukraine is also entering a new frontier in assessing climate change impacts and priorities for key sectors, and is paving the way for the development of national and sector climate change adaptation strategies and action plans, which really are the long-term strategies, really are the key elements in setting a clear direction and pathway for action. We've partnered to assess and understand the impacts of climate change on key sectors in Ukraine to inform adaptation policies and programs. We're also cooperating with Ukraine in supporting a better understanding of the forestry sector and how the sector itself can be both obviously an important source of environmental benefits, but also can continue to be an important source of jobs and broader economic growth. And it's also, we've been working in areas of the energy and industry sectors in the program for market readiness, in really understanding how to monitor, report, and do verification of greenhouse gas emissions. So, really what I would like to emphasize is that we see, as a global institution, we are very impressed to see Ukraine emerging as truly an environmental leader in Europe. And all the more important and significant given that the economic legacy of Ukraine has been one of largely ignoring the environmental impacts of economic growth, and seeing these types of bold actions really demonstrates both Ukraine's commitment to the environmental agenda, but also makes Ukraine an important example for other countries who are looking to make similar shifts. So I hope that today's meeting will catalyze action and consolidate the efforts of Ukraine and the Common Maritime Agenda countries to address pollution and climate change impacts. And I want to extend a special thanks to the Black Sea Executive Committee and the government of Ukraine for organizing this consultation. And then in closing, I just want to emphasize 4 words that what I'm hearing from Ambassador Christidis and Deputy Minister Savchuk that I think really capture what is required for this agenda to be effective moving forward. And those are, first of all, awareness of the issue and the problems, and those dramatic photographs that Ambassador Christidis showed clearly are part of building that awareness amongst the population in the littoral states. Creativity was mentioned, and clearly it will take creativity. These are not easy agendas, and we need to harness the creativity of civil society, researchers, governments, private sector, everyone to find solutions. We clearly need determination. These things don't happen easily or in a straight path. There will be challenges, and we need a determined group of actors working together. And then finally, as was emphasized by Ambassador Christidis as well, the need for cooperation. This is not something that any one country can resolve. It needs to build stronger and stronger cooperation amongst the littoral states, and clearly this program is intended to provide the basis for that. So with that, I wish everyone a very successful event, and I look forward to hearing the contributions in this event and in future workshops, and thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Back to you, Oksana.
Thank you, Stephen, for your broad overview of interdiscipline approach that bank takes and this program will take, and for bringing up the regional agenda as well as national levels that we will be striving to implement it to the benefit of both region and the country. And now I want to give word to Ms. Patrizia Bussolini, Policy Officer for European Commission. Ms. Bussolini, please take the floor.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much for this invitation. First of all, I would like to thank World Bank and the BSEC for the invitation, and of course also my greetings to the Ambassador Christidis, to Mrs. Stackwood, to Mr. Schoenberger, and also to you, of course, our moderator. What I would like, I see also, I'm very happy to see also that we have also the colleagues from the Ukrainian National Hub of the Common Maritime Agenda as participants, and also the Common Maritime Agenda Ukrainian National Coordinator, Ambassador Sultansky. I'm very happy to see them here because it is very important they are involved. And they support the process. Indeed, as the Ambassador Christidis has already mentioned, this program, Blue in the Black Sea of the World Bank, it is a very much important component of the implementation of the Common Maritime Agenda. So we are very pleased to be there and to support concretely. Speaking of which, I would like to mention also that since September, we have activated the assistance mechanism to the Common Maritime Agenda. The assistance mechanism, we have also a colleague that I see is connected as participant. So the assistance mechanism will support the Common Maritime Agenda and the countries to implement the objectives of this agenda through awareness raising activities, through the identification of projects, financial sources, and so on. And most importantly, for the dynamics at regional level, also to support the dialogue and the concrete cooperation with regional stakeholders. In this, and also the assistance mechanism has also set up national hubs. This is very important because the national hubs will have a key role in supporting the national stakeholders in working in all these dimensions, and also to contributing to this program of the World Bank. I would also like to mention that also BSEC plays a key role in the implementation of the Common Maritime Agenda, because BSEC implements the Black Sea Virtual Knowledge Center. This is a very important tool. It has been activated in August, September. It is in a very, BSEC is doing a very good job. And it will be very important to have this tool and that also the actors like the national hubs of the Common Maritime Agenda, as well as the World Bank, let's say, utilize this tool, because it will be a very important tool to reach a broader stakeholder, support the stakeholders networking, not only at national level, but also at regional level, identify partnership, identify project ideas, and so forth. Remaining on the same line of complementarities and synergies and coordination, also important to mention that in the Black Sea, we have also the SRIA, which is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda for the Black Sea, which is somehow the scientific pillar of the Common Maritime Agenda. This is a very important tool. We are already working a lot with SRIA, of course. The national hubs will play a key role on that. I would like to mention that the SRIA, this year, we believe that this year will be an important year to strengthen even more the cooperation with SRIA, given that the implementation project of SRIA, which is called Black Sea Connect, as a Turkish coordination, and this year, 2021, is the Common Maritime Agenda will be coordinated by Turkey. So it is a very good occasion to strengthen the cooperation further, to stabilize a bit more. Again, on complementarities, it is important to also to mention the complementarity in terms of funds. In particular, in the Black Sea, it is true that the funds alignment, it is quite a complex exercise, but the good thing, the positive thing is that we are at the beginning of the new programming period. So we need to push, and this is what we are doing in the Common Maritime Agenda, and from the side of the Commission, we need to push in that directions. So, for example, for Ukraine also, there is the new financing tool, which is called Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. Ukraine and other non-EU countries need to tap on, of course. From the side of the Commission and the technical assistance and the National Lab, we will support this exercise in the same line. Also, Bulgaria and Romania we need to push in that direction in order for them to develop activities in the framework of the Common Maritime Agenda that are aligned and complementary to the activities foreseen by the Blue in the Black Sea project. Just a couple of two final information. The first steering group meeting of Turkey of the Common Maritime Agenda, which this year, as mentioned, is led by Turkey, should take place in a couple of weeks. And of course, BSEC and World Bank will be invited, and we will ask to explain a bit at which stage this consultation process is, and which are the main achievements so far. And also, what it is important also in our understanding to highlight, and with this I conclude, is that this project, Blue in the Black Sea, is also very important, I believe, for Ukraine, because Ukraine is very much interested and committed in supporting the EU Green Deal. So the EU Green Deal has also a blue dimension. So also, we believe that also this program, Blue in the Black Sea, it is also an important tool, an important way to support this approach. So with this, I have concluded my welcome words, and I wish you a very nice and fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bussolini, for your interesting presentation on the cooperation in the region, on all the links between all the different efforts. Thank you. And another round of thanks to our distinguished opening panel. This concludes it. And right now, so everybody would have a couple of minutes to digest everything and all the wishes and all the ideas and all the goals that we set. This was set by the opening panel. We will have an exercise. It's a simple exercise when everybody turns on their video, and we have a family photo for this event. So please, you have to realize that your photos will not be wall-sized. So I get it, not the best hair day probably for me, for myself personally, but please do turn on your video to make sure that we capture all the people who will eventually shape this whole program and will eventually help us to achieve the goals that was set for us by our basically idea makers for this one. Well, for those of you who are not camera available, we know you're with us in spirit, but those who do have a camera, whatever the background is, whatever the sound is, we just want your video for now so we can have all the happy and thinking faces on it, please. Well, smiling is optional because I do realize this is a, very long capture video, long capture photos. You don't have to sit for 2 hours straight. Photography moved on from that stage, but you do have to keep a couple of minutes for your video. Thank you. And somebody will probably tell me when it's done.
Okay. We're okay with the photo.
Thank you. And with that, I would like to deliver the honor to lead the next session to my colleague and TTL for BBC, Berenjere Prince. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Oksana. A great pleasure to be here today, to see so many participants. I think it's a record in terms of number of participants to this session, so I am truly thrilled. My name is Berengere Prince. I'm the lead natural resources management specialist at the World Bank. Can we start the presentation? So what I'm going to do is to set the scene. So very quickly, going to introduce the background to this program and a little bit its components. So next slide, please. All right. So let's start with some definition. Right? We've been talking about bluing the Black Sea without really telling you what bluing means. It is quite simple. What we mean by bluing is very similar to what we mean by greening. It is actually supporting a more sustainable development of maritime activity, such as shipping, port, tourism, offshore, wind, and desalination. So it has this environmental dimension as much as it has also a social dimension. It has to be a fair and inclusive kind of development. That's what we mean by bluing. Next, and I'm going to skip the next 2 slides because this has been well covered by all the speakers in the introduction session. So let me go directly to this. Thank you. So bluing the Black Sea, what are the building blocks? So first of all, the World Bank group is very much present in each of the CMA countries. We have many national operations that contribute to the blue economy and also to the fight against pollution. But this bluing the Black Sea has these 2 first building blocks, which are truly regional. One is a study, an advisory work on what that we are calling turning the tide of pollution. So here we're going to dig, and the working session number 1 will be dedicated to this study, to this work. The second building block is financed by the GEF. It's an investment, and this one is implemented by the BSEC organization. And it's the second working session where we're going to deep dive on this particular session. Let's move to the next slide. So I wanted to give you a bit of an overview of everything that the World Bank Group is doing, and looking a little bit in Ukraine. You heard about this climate change impact opportunity and priority report that is ongoing, which is at the national level. You may have also read in the press last year about this IFC PPP investment in the Kherson Sea commercial port. So that's just to give you a few and quick example of the kind of national activity we have. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over the floor to the next moderator for the working session number 1. You can move to the next slide. I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Irina Makarenko. She is a pollution monitoring and assessment officer at the Black Sea Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Berenger. Good morning and good afternoon to all the colleagues. I was really honored to be appointed as a moderator of this important first working session of our Ukrainian National Consultations. And I wish here to thank the World Bank and the BSEC teams, as well as, of course, the government of Ukraine for organizing and hosting this extremely important activity for the entire Black Sea Basin. It is, of course, very nice to see so many familiar faces. I mean here my compatriot Ukrainian colleagues, and especially the Deputy Minister, Ms. Irina Stavchuk, who is serving as the Black Sea Commissioner for Ukraine. I also wish to thank you for inviting the Black Sea Commission's Permanent Secretariat, which I represent today, to also contribute to the success of our project. So we were allocated 30 minutes. I hope they will not cut us at some point. And I'm now delighted to welcome 2 experts who have been appointed to carry out the legal and institutional analysis of pollution, as well as pollution diagnostic, which was envisaged by the ProBlue project. And these are Mr. Owen McAlentire and Ms. Nicola Bertolini. Before giving the floor to our consultants, I would like to mention that considering that the time slot that we were given, I mentioned already half an hour, and that would be still certainly not enough time for the Q&A session, I would like to suggest all of us that all the participants which are interested, that they could raise their questions in the chat box. And of course, we will collect and address all these questions during our next meeting or other relevant meetings. So let me first introduce you the team. Please meet Ms. Paola Agostini, who is a task team leader. Please meet also Ms. Eolina Milova, who is the co-task team leader. And the 2 experts that I already mentioned, Mr. Owen McAlentire, who is a legal expert, who is dealing with the legal and institutional aspects, and Mr. Nicola Bertolini, who is an expert on the pollution diagnostic. Before I give the floor to these experts, I would like to ask you to switch the slide, and I will be able to present you the overall program development objective of the project, which is to improve the national and also the regional knowledge related to sources, related to prevention and the mitigation of key marine pollutants in the Black Sea. And another important objective is also to strengthen the case for the improved regional collaboration. So the project would consist of the 2 activities, and the first one will be to carry out the analysis and the diagnostics, and the second one will be dealing with the consultations, dissemination, and the outreach activities. So now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Owen McAlentire. I already mentioned that he was appointed as an expert on legal and institutional aspects related to water and marine pollution. He will be presenting you now the outline of the legal and institutional analysis and also its main objectives. So please, Mr. McAlentire, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Irina. Could I ask someone to move forward the slides, please? Thank you. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to introduce our assignment in terms of the legal and institutional gap analysis for measures to control pollution of the Black Sea environment. And I will only take a minute to do so. We are focusing specifically, of course, looking at pollution of a marine area like the Black Sea is an enormous undertaking. So we are focusing in on an aspect, the key aspect of pollution of the Black Sea environment. And the key source of pollution are what we call land-based sources. And even within land-based sources, we are focusing further on 2 key sources of pollution. And these are nutrient pollution and oil and chemical pollution arising from hotspots, so from industrial polluted zones, if you like, in the coastal area and along watercourses which drain into the Black Sea. So in doing so, we will particularly focus on we will conduct an analysis on two levels. We will conduct a regional analysis focusing on international marine environmental law, on regional marine environmental law, and particularly the Bucharest Convention, on international watercourses law, on relevant EU law, which is driving reform and approximation of policies in the states in the region, and very importantly, at national environmental law. So the range of national environmental rules that seek to meet commitments made by the Black Sea states and Moldova, the Black Sea coastal states, 5 of the Black Sea coastal states and Moldova, the commitments made by these states in the context of their commitments to the EU and their international commitments. How are these transposed? How are these implemented? And how are these delivered, if you like, in national law? So we will look at that, and we will also look at difficulties in implementation, compliance, and enforcement. Our dealing with stakeholders in the region thus far have suggested that these are major issues, particularly compliance and enforcement. So that is the context of the study. Thank you very much, Irina, for the time to introduce what we're doing. Oh, sorry, if I may. We have just appointed our Ukrainian national consultant who will assist us with the position in Ukraine, Mr. Sergei Vikris, and we are delighted to have Sergei on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Owen, for such a comprehensive presentation. As I mentioned, if anyone has any questions, you may write them in the chat box. Meanwhile, I would like to invite Mr. Nicola Bertolini. He will present you an outline, also the arrangements and the timelines for the pollution diagnostic report. So please, Nicola, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Irina, for giving me the floor. I present myself and the team I represent today. I'm Nicola Bertolini. I'm an environmental economist representing the technical team who will support the BBC assignment for the environmental pollution diagnostic activities. As you heard in the previous presentation, the development objective of this project is to improve the national and regional knowledge about and strengthen the dialogue about which are the key marine pollutant activities in the Black Sea regional level. The main principle of this assignment are based on consolidating the foundation for regional cooperation. We will work applying a differentiated approach, I mean on a national level. Today we started the dialogue with the Ukrainian side to get the all information necessary for get the picture and develop which is the diagnostic analysis of your country, and then to the further level is the regional level, because the environmental pollution has no boundaries. Therefore, our aim is to work in this direction, to get the picture from each country and then gather all information together and summarize and address which are the actions to mitigate the environmental pollution issues. But what is important and relevant in the meeting today and in the process of our assignment is to get your full involvement in providing our information, data, about which are the main hotspots, which are the main environmental pollution issues, so we can take note, we can analyze and get the scenario. Therefore, with this approach, we believe that your active involvement in the process from now could be more useful for the final result of our assignment. So the main question that we will process in our assignment, which are what are the pollution sources? and their impact at national and regional level. And then, what are the business as usual scenario at national, regional level if nothing is done to address pollution issues? Therefore, from today, we need to get your information to shape our activities and addressing the efforts the Blue in the Black Sea assignment project is having. As said, the two level we will provide as deliverable of the assignment. We will have two level, national diagnostic report, and then a national level. What is important is the stakeholder engagement from the beginning. And we are glad also to communicate that we have already in our team Ukrainian partners. Will start from now to get in touch with all main stakeholders to get the information relevant to develop the national background pollution papers, and then to have the overall regional scenario analyzed. From my side, I'm available for further questions. Over to you, Irina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for all the details and clarification you provided. So now, after hearing two very interesting presentations with all the information about the outline and the content, I think that we should keep our fingers crossed, and we'll be waiting for these important deliverables. Still, I hope that we can collect some questions in the chat box. But at the same time, as we have some time left for presenting the list of questions that was prepared for the stakeholders, I would like to get your attention for some minutes, and let's brainstorm on the list, which is of course not explicit, but still I think we have a good chance to contribute to this stakeholders engagement that was just mentioned by Nicola. And now I would like to invite you all to participate in our live survey. So you could see the details on the screen and also in the chat box. We will be giving you approximately 1 minute per question. And I would like now to start reading all these questions for you. And meanwhile, I would like to invite you to vote, because your voice really matters to us. So let's start the survey. And I would like to kindly ask you to switch the first slide, the first question. So, question number 1, will the legal and institutional analysis and the regional pollution diagnostic contribute to the regional efforts to address the marine pollution? So we have 3 answers. It's yes, since the issue transcends the national borders. We have no, there are sufficient studies on pollution. And we have the third answer, the focus should be on something else. So I kindly invite you to vote. You could select from 3 possible options. We can see people started voting. I encourage you to vote. We have almost 100 participants. We should have more answers. So we still have some time left for this question. You can also observe now the www.menti.com. You will be just entering the code and you will access the voting. So you can see now on the screen the code that you should enter, and this is how you can vote and fill in the questions that we prepared for you. You can also use the QR code from your mobile. So we're waiting for you to join us and to vote on the question number 1. So I hope we have more participants at the moment. And so I invite you again to respond to the question number 1. We have already 17 answers. We're waiting for your contribution as well. So the code is actually emphasized now in the chat box. And we have the answers. I guess that we still have another 10 seconds, and we will proceed to the question number 2. I hope all of you registered already and had a chance to read the question once again. So I guess we can move now to question number 2. Does the scope of the Turning the Tide of Pollution report activities reflect on the main gaps that need to be addressed? So we have yes or no. And I kindly invite you to join us with voting because your voice matters. And as it was mentioned already, we are really collecting the stakeholders' engagement and all the feedback from the main stakeholders in Ukraine. So we have also the option number 3, which sounds like other. And I kindly invite you to vote. For those who just joined us or didn't manage to register, you can find all the information in the chat box with all the codes and the web page where you can reach our voting. So I guess we can now move to our question number 3. Please kindly switch the slide for us. So this question is, which are the key stakeholders in addressing marine pollution at national, local, and international level to be involved in the technical committee? So here you can choose up to 4 answers from the list that you can see on the screen. So I give you another 30 seconds to vote, and we can see now the first results. Thank you very much for your active participation. So please choose up to 4 answers to this question. Thank you. I think we can move to the next question. Please kindly switch. The question number 4. Are there any other similar or relevant existing projects and initiatives at national and regional levels that we should consider? So we have options yes and no. So we have another 10 seconds left. Okay, I get some requests to prolong the timing for our voting. So I give you another 20 seconds to read the question. So you can also see the Ukrainian translation of the questions in case if there are some issues with English. So you can also read them from the screen. So I hope all of you managed to vote the question number 4. So now we are moving to question number 5. Sorry, question number 4A. So if you ticked yes in the previous question, what are the projects that would overlap in your view? I think I can, being Ukrainian, I can also read those questions in Ukrainian for you. Питання 4A. Якщо так, які проекти перетинаються на вашу думку? Коротка відповідь. So we started having the first answers, initiatives and projects which may overlap. Yes, we have some other initiatives and projects. Thank you very much for being so active. Yes, we have not only projects, but also initiatives. Even the European legislation is mentioned. Thank you so much for being proactive. Someone answered that it's too complicated to answer, but still, thank you very much for your feedback. I guess I'm going to give you another 15 seconds and we will go to the next question. Great. I guess you mentioned all the possibly overlapping initiatives. So please switch the next slide. And we will go to question number 5, which is what are the most important pollution sources and or human activity impacting the health of marine ecosystems in the Black Sea that should be considered? I see the first answers. I would also read it in Ukrainian. Питання 5. Які є найважливіші джерела забруднення та або види людської діяльності, що впливають на здоров'я морських екосистем у Чорному морі? Які нам слід розглянути? Можемо обирати до 7 варіантів відповіді. I thank you for your feedback. We see now the most challenging and impacting activities in the Black Sea. So, yes, the columns are still moving. So I'm going to give you some more time to respond. And I think that this question is extremely important for both documents that were presented today. And now your impact is really much appreciated and very much essential for us. So the column stopped somehow. I guess we could really move to the question number 6. So the question number 6, can the institutional, legal and policy framework reform in Ukraine help to address the pollution issues? Питання 6. Чи може реформа інституційної, законодавчої та нормативної бази допомогти у вирішенні питань забруднення? So we have 3 options. One is that reform is needed to address marine pollution. Another one is that the framework is already sufficient. And the third one is that the framework is well developed, but still lacking the implementation and enforcement. So I kindly invite you to vote. The columns are still shaking. So I give you another 20 seconds to respond. Перша відповідь: реформа потрібна. Інша відповідь: існує вже достатня база для вирішення цих питань. І третє питання: база є добре розробленою, але все одно бракує реалізації та правозастосування. I thank you for responding our questions. I give you another 5 seconds. And I think, yes, now I think we're gonna move to the question number 7. What further support would you need from the World Bank to accompany the pollution-free development of the blue economy in the Black Sea? 7 питання. Яка подальша підтримка вам потрібна від Світового банку для супроводження вільного від забруднення розвитку синьої економіки на Чорному морі? Коротка відповідь потрібна. We need here some kind of a very short answer to this question if you really consider that any further support is needed from the World Bank. So I'm giving you 1 minute, I guess, because you may still brainstorm what is needed exactly from the World Bank. We started getting your answers. I thank you once again for being so proactive and still give you some more time. Nice. I see some funding is needed, so the World Bank should be prepared from now on. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for providing your feedback, being very much important stakeholders for the Black Sea. I give you another 20 seconds. You see, push is really mentioned a couple of times already in our answers. Yes, I think some push is always needed for every activity. So I hope you managed to put all your ideas into the boxes. And now I would like to ask the assistants in moving to the next question, please. So it was all. I would like to really thank you for all your feedback. You were really active today. And as you may see, we tried to embrace the whole range of concerns and the challenges in the Black Sea. Maybe it was not exhaustive, but still, you know, we will be really happy to collect your feedback as well in the chat box, and also during our following sessions and the meetings of the projects which are about to come. I wish to thank our speakers and all of you for your kind attention. Our session is coming to the end now. Let me now pass the floor to my colleague, Svetoslav Stoyanov. He will be joining you for the next session and introduce you all the arrangements. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Irina. I hope everybody hears me. Good afternoon. My name is Svetoslav Stoyanov. I'm a blue economy expert, and I'm assisting the regional organization, BSEC, in the preparation of one of the components of the Blue in the Black Sea program, so-called BBC program. So in the previous session, we got acquainted with the concept of the planned BBC program and discussed the work on the in-country pollution diagnostic papers, which in turn will inform the BBC GEF regional project architecture. Now, this session will center on the regional project. The BSEC Permanent International Secretariat has been selected to accompany its development and hopefully its future implementation. The executive manager, Mrs. Rosica Stoeva, will shed light on the different facets of the regional project and its timeline. Following the presentation, we would like to discuss it with you and hear your first impressions, suggestions, and questions. I will tell you more right after the intervention of Mrs. Stoeva. Mrs. Stoeva, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sveto. Good afternoon from my side. My name is Rosica Stoeva. I'm Executive Manager in BSEC PERMIS and BSEC BBC Project Manager. As Ambassador Christidis has highlighted in the opening session, we in the BSEC PERMIS lay particular importance to the BBC program and its investment component, because we believe that it will help close the financial gap, particularly for projects with regional dimension in the Black Sea, where the efforts of one country alone are not sufficient to solve the problem. Next slide, please. The investment component of the BBC program has been built around these key elements. As you can see, funding is around 6.6 million USD from the Global Environmental Facility International Water Window. Our secretariat will be the executive agency of this very impressive fund. And when it comes to the long-term objectives, we are considering that it will improve environmental health of the Black Sea and increase social and economic benefits for the population. The timeline for this, for the implementation of the projects, it's from the third quarter of 2021 till the beginning of 2024. Next slide. The idea of incentivizing public and private investments for pollution reduction in the Black Sea countries is put in the heart of the BBC regional project, which scope it's better, is pretty wide, and it covers all coastal countries, including the Republic of Moldova. We believe that in medium term, the project would help to create more incentives for public and private investments for pollution reduction, all leading to a longer term outcome of an improved environmental status of the Black Sea with increased economic and social benefits for the population. How we can do that on national level? Through detailed studies, coordination mechanism with blue economy focus, national investments plans for reduction, prevention, and circular economy, eco-business competition and grants, as well as fundraising for investments. Next slide, please. But when it comes to the regional level, the project can envisage the following three very important activities: development of sustainable business standards and guidelines in key sectors like agriculture, aquaculture, tourism, shipping and water management, capacity building in banking for green finance and innovation, and awareness raising campaigns on the issues of pollution in the Black Sea and how we can achieve that. So there are some ideas that we are already discussing internally. So when it comes to the sustainable business standards and guidelines for investment and in agriculture, aquaculture, tourism, shipping and water management will be developed based on international best practices. Such standards could increase the longer term investments into sustainable business activities and projects, and more specifically, environmental conditions may refer to climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as the environment more broadly, such as the preservation of biodiversity, pollution prevention, and circular economy. Building green innovation financing capacity. This is our second, let's say, national indicators, regional indicators of national and regional. But so we are thinking here to involve national and regional banks and financial intermediaries. So in this content, trainings may be provided on green technology investments, focusing on pollution reduction and prevention. This activity will direct support the provision of grants for SMEs, startups, or public actors. Under this activity, there are plans also to arrange a grant competition that will give chance to best practices and innovation for pollution reduction to get necessary funding for further implementation. The third element is awareness raising campaigns on issues of pollution in the Black Sea. This is very important. Here we are considering to involve different partners. We will cooperate with the European Commission, with different projects with regional dimension, which have the same focus as, for example, Black Sea Connect, Bridge Project, which will start very soon, and etc. The next slide is very important because it exactly shows the current understanding of how the whole project can function over the next few years. As you can see, all relevant national and regional partners are considered to be included in this process. Even the involvement of the three CMA countries which are not beneficiary to this project, so namely Bulgaria, Romania, and the Russian Federation, which will be involved as observers. Cooperation with other international organizations, as for example, UNDP and FAO, is also envisaged in this process. So those implementation arrangements, of course, are in consideration, and we hope to get some insights from our partners and key policymakers, namely the ministries and regional organizations. And the next slide, please. When it comes to the timeline, you can see on the slide how the project preparation and implementation is envisaged. And I would like to highlight that the real work starts in September, and now we are in this preparatory phase that's why we have the next workshops, and we want to feel the pulse of our member states. I will stop here and give the floor back to Mr. Stoyanov for the interactive part of our discussions today, the survey, which is very important. Be ready to continue with the survey. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. And the floor back to you, Mr. Stoyanov.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Stoeva. So indeed, after this informative presentation, we're going to come back again to the survey. Which is pretty interesting. I think the questions are even more interesting than the previous one, so be ready. Just before we start, we have to make sure that we are all on this website, www.menti.com. Exactly, it is now very well highlighted. And then you can add the code. It's the very same code that you have used 10 minutes ago. You can try basically to see if it works when you click all these emoticons on the right corner, on the bottom right corner. Let me see if it works. Yes, it works as well for me. So we have almost 90 people online. So I hope that everybody would be able to share their opinion. I would like, just before we start, highlight one important thing, namely, think about the notion of marine pollution, also national level and regional level. These are three important, they are important because the following questions will all revolve around the notion of activities aiming to prevent or reduce marine pollution, and they will have a national and a regional dimension. For us, it will be important to understand which activities make sense for you, the authorities of Ukraine, entrepreneurs, the academia, environmentalists as well, or the citizen. And if they have to be done at national level, so in Ukraine, or at regional level, so uniting the capacities and the forces of your neighbors, the other Black Sea countries. So having said that, I would like to invite our assistant to go to the next slide, which will be the first question for this session. So the first question reads, select the top most important national level activities for Ukraine. So you have here various options. You can choose up to 3. It could be the cost of pollution on the economy. It could be as well a cross-sectoral coordination mechanism for blue economy. This is mostly for national level, exactly. Then investment plans for pollution and prevention and circular economy, eco-business competition and grants, so small-scale funding, also funding for small-scale projects, and then funding for large infrastructures, so investment preparation. This is the last option. As I said, you can choose up to 2, actually up to 3 answers. Thanks a lot. We already have 7 replies. Maybe we can get a bit more. Over 80 people. Excellent. Very good. So more or less, it's a very equal competition here. There's no clear leader. Maybe, yeah, investment plans for pollution prevention and circular economy. I'll give you 10 more seconds. Okay. Fair enough. So I guess we can go to the next slide. So the question reads, select the top most important regional level activities for Ukraine. So that would make sense for Ukraine, actually. Choose up to 2 questions. That could be, you could choose from sustainable business standards and guidelines in key sectors. So for instance, sectors like agriculture, like tourism, like aquaculture. The second option is capacity building in banking for green finance and innovation. This means capacity building for financial institutions, actually. Has been already clarified before by Mrs. Stoeva. And the third option is awareness raising. So communicating mostly on the issue of pollution. Communicating to the general audience, communicating to the public authorities, business. So excellent. We have a lot of replies. I personally cannot very well see how many replies we still have, but I see there are over 20 for sure. And we can wait another 10 seconds, see if we can get another reply. Okay. Good. So we can get to the next question. Very good. Does Ukraine need, or does Ukraine have an investment plan for pollution prevention? So here is pretty straightforward. If you know that it has, so please select the first answer. Actually, second answer already has it. The first answer is Ukraine doesn't need it. And the third answer is Ukraine would benefit from it. Okay, it's pretty clear. Ukraine would benefit from it. Very well. I trust that you can all very well read as well the Ukrainian translation. I'm not that savvy in this language. Unfortunately, I don't have the privilege to speak it as the previous moderator. So we can go now to the 4th question, which reads, does Ukraine need or have an investment plan for circular economy? So difference, marine pollution prevention, and this one is circular economy. Again, Ukraine doesn't need it. Ukraine already has one, or Ukraine would benefit. Excellent. So it's pretty much clear. 15 answers. Okay. Very good. This one is particularly clear. Thank you very much for your participation on this slide. So we can go to the next question. Select the suitable competitors for the eco-business grant competition to reduce pollution and improve water quality runoff to the Black Sea. It's a particularly long question. So I leave you a bit of time to read it properly. You have also various options. You can choose up to 5. So that could be public agencies, it could be local authorities, farmers, small enterprises. So that is the target group of this competition. So who actually should be allowed to participate in the respective competition with proposals and then obtain funding from the planned competition. Excellent. This is very vivid participation. I'm very thankful. Can we get another 10 answers? Again, for those that have not yet, that were not able to get or log on from the very beginning, please use the website, which is highlighted on the top of the screen, www.menti.com, and then introduce the respective code, 73471863. It's very interactive, it's very nice actually. Okay, 5 more seconds. Cool, that grows pie chart. Thank you. So now we can go to the next question, number 6. Question reads, what are the priority sectors for the eco-business grant competition, which is meant to reduce pollution and improve water quality runoff to the Black Sea? So in the previous question, we were talking about the target group who can profit, and now we are thinking about the priority sectors. So which sectors should be actually target of this competition? You can choose up to 5 answers. Agriculture, shipping, so maritime transport, tourism, urban wastewater, or industrial wastewater, for instance. Thank you very much. Already 20 participants, 24, it grows. Excellent. 27. This is excellent. Thank you very much. You're very active. That's really great. I think if we go like that, we'll have as well a bit of time to get some live questions from you, from the audience. I think we have about 5 questions more. 10 more seconds on this one. Okay, we can go to number 7, please. So number 7 reads, do you know other eco-business grant competition programs dedicated to reducing pollution? If yes, which one do you have in mind? So here you have an opportunity to actually type in an answer. Should be a short answer. You can type it in English, you can type it also in Ukrainian, whatever language you prefer actually. Don't think only about eco-business competition, so it should not be only grant competitions at national level. That could be something that exists at regional level. I'm aware that there is, exactly, it's already mentioned, the Black Sea CBC program. This is the cross-border cooperation program, which is very popular in the Black Sea region, and it's open to all countries. Horizon 2020, indeed. Horizon 2020 is actually pan-European, but they have calls for Black Sea countries, Ukraine one of them, Turkey as well, Georgia, Bulgaria, Romania, for instance. I see the Blue Invest program. This is also a European initiative. Romania and Ukraine, Interreg, excellent. I'll give you a bit more time. Not familiar, the Green Deal. Yes, the European Green Deal. It's a big chunk of money going into different initiatives. But yes, okay, I think this is already fantastic. 17 replies. Most of them know, but this is also an answer. We can go to number 8. Embless has a competition. Indeed, that's interesting. So, what investment would be the most effective in order to reduce pollution and improve water quality runoff in Ukraine. So here you have a couple of options. You can choose up to 2 of them. I will try to read them out loud, although they're pretty small there. But the one is the wastewater treatment facility. The other one is solid waste management facility, nitrate and phosphate fertilizers reduction program in agriculture. Then again, green infrastructure, so wetlands, forests, and better pollution management facility at major harbors. So this is really a creative, it expects your creative also thinking, what would make really a difference when it comes to reducing pollution? This question is important because at some stage, once this project is taking shape, and potential large-scale investment would be considered in 1 or more countries of those participating in the program. And Ukraine is one of those target countries. So we have 27 replies. Can we get to 30 maybe? Okay, 5 more seconds. Okay, thank you very much for your participation. And we can go to slide number 9. This is a longer question, so I would like to read it slowly. Are there any particular standards and/or procurement rules for sustainable business operations and investments in Ukraine? I'm talking about standards which are applied by banks, by private investors, or by development agencies. When it comes to projects in the domains, again, agriculture, tourism, aquaculture, maritime transport like shipping, or water management. So when we think about standards, we're thinking about certain set of rules that these organizations are applying before financing a project. Maybe they would apply standards for green investments. So they would only prefer investments that contribute to the to reducing pollution. Or they might have also special procurement rules. Excellent, 27 replies. Most of them I do not know. This is a fair answer. Can we get to 30? Maybe not yet. Okay, 5 more seconds. Okay, let's go to the next question, number 10. Well, actually, before number 10, we have number 9A. This is actually for those that said yes. So if there are such standards and procurement rules, which ones do you have in mind? That could be, again, national level or regional level. Actually, national level mostly, indeed. The previous question was related to national level answers. You can type in a short answer. You can type it in as well in Ukrainian if you wish, if it's easier for you. No. I don't know, good. Okay, that's a state prohibition. Okay, this is probably a national rule, part of a legislation. OBHC, I do not know, but we will get acquainted on that. OP, international rules, yeah. Okay, 5 more seconds. So thank you. Let's go to question number 10. We have a few questions left. And number 10 reads, what do you consider a good way to support or promote sustainable business practices and innovation towards pollution reduction? So among the questions, you can choose more than one. It could be through campaigns, so dedicated communication campaigns, through legislation. You have mentioned already legislation at national level. Through capacity building, so basically making lectures or meeting the respective financial institutions in order to explain to them that it makes sense to finance only sustainable projects, only projects that contribute to the well-being of the sea, to the nature. then it could be by more financing by the banks and development institutions by putting more money into this in these domains. Also through education, this is quite interesting and quite important. It's happening in other parts of the world, like in the United States a lot. They have education programs for ocean literacy. So understanding about the sea and how the sea can be maintained, preserved by involving popular faces. This is basically those so-called champions that can be, that can raise awareness, basically communicate better and attract more interest into the topic. So I see very good participation. We give 5 more seconds. Okay. 27, if I see well. Okay. Oh, excellent. Few questions, few answers more. So let's go to the next slide then. Are there any institutions at national or regional levels that promote investments in green technologies, circular economy models, or even novel infrastructures for pollution reduction, waste management, and recycling related to marine pollution? So do you know any institutions like that? So banks maybe, or funds which are available for the Black Sea region besides the World Bank? Institutions could be also European institutions.
Не, ну я-то знал чуть раньше, но просто люди не верили. Это, там, вот это все наши анализы, которые мы как бы делаем, там кровь, кал, все. Даже вот в этом доме. Русские запретили это.
Very good, thank you. So we have 23 participants. I'm warning you that those that said yes, they're gonna see question 11A, which will be which ones? So don't get scared, exactly. Oh no, 12, basically, good. So 12, are there any financial institutions or equity funds in Ukraine that target and support companies that develop solutions for pollution problems? We can think also about companies or early stage ventures, so very innovative companies that develop solutions for this pollution problem. Most of you say yes. Others say no, actually, most of you say no, thank you. Thank you for your active participation. Actually, here will come the question A, so 12A, but I'll give you another 5 seconds maybe before we go to the next question. This next question would be for those that replied yes. So may we skip where we go to 12A, please? Yeah. If there are such institutions, pardon, or funds, please specify which you have in mind. So you can type in short answer, the EIB, yes, EIB, one of those big funding institutions that are also active in the region. Who else? The BSTDB, exactly. This is one of the, basically this is the bank, which is under the group of institutions around BSEC, around the Black Sea Economic Cooperation. They're involved in large infrastructure funding, but also funding for SMEs and small-scale enterprises. USAID, okay. Horizon, this is the European Horizon program. They have as well grants for this type of early ventures for companies that have to trespass the so-called valley of death. So just before getting to basically preparing a working copy of their project that can go to the market. Horizon Investment Bank, very good. 5 more seconds. Ukraine Invest, very good, that's interesting. I personally not aware of this. Fine, so I think with this question, I assume that this might be basically our last question. Let me invite exactly the next slide. Ah, yes, so basically it was the last question. And here you have an opportunity as well to rate this type of survey, which is very innovative. And we use it for the first time. Should be pretty easy. It was good, it was not good, it was so-so. I mean, bearing in mind that we're doing a webinar and we're not able to meet personally, I find it really useful application. I understand that it's also boring for some. 30 replies, very good. This is the active part of the audience. Very good. And to be honest, now we have 5, even 6 minutes more. If you all agree, we can use this opportunity as well to take some questions from the audience. Your questions could be actually directed to us, speaker and moderator, but you can also direct your questions to the people who have already, to the panelists that have presented before. Or you can basically make a very brief comment. I invite you to raise your hand or write in the chat box, and then I'll give you the floor. So let's see. I don't see any more. I don't see yet any hands. I must also remind you that for those who are not able to participate in this survey, you will still have a chance to fill out this survey when you get the message summarizing the outcomes of this event. I trust that it will happen in the next few days after the end of the event. And there you're going to see a link where you can click on and have the very same survey done through a different platform, but it will have the very same questions where you will have time to reply. You can do it in your own language. You can do it as well in English, and then make your voice count. I'm looking one more time to the audience. I don't see any hands. So if there are no questions, I would like then to invite the next basically closing panelists. That will be again Mrs. Stoeva and Ms. Prans from the World Bank. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Stoyanov, for giving me the floor. It was very interesting, honestly, the survey and following the discussions. And before concluding, I would like to thank, on behalf of the BSEC Secretariat, the participants for their active presence and active contribution to the survey. I would like also to thank the co-organizers, the World Bank, the Ministry of Regional and European Integration of Ukraine, as well as the Black Sea Commission and the DG Mare. Last but not least, I would like to thank the technical team for making this event happen. And I believe this is very interactive. It was very interactive and very interesting for all the participants. I consider this webinar as a successful one, gathering together experts from Ukraine to discuss such an important topic as the marine pollution. And this is our sea, and we should take all necessary measures to make it more productive, healthy, resilient, and sustainable. This is a good opportunity for me, and I will take it to inform you that the relevant information related to this webinar, as well as to all other consultations that are forthcoming, will be placed on the BSEC website. The information has been already placed in the chat box. You are all welcome as well to register in the Black Sea Blue Economy Community Stakeholders platform on this BSEC, and to be informed about all new developments related to projects, events in the Black Sea region. This is actually your Blue Economy platform, and I would like to urge you to take full use of it. Thank you very much, and I will stop here. I will give the floor to Ms. Berenger for final remarks from their side. From the bank side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tovea. So yeah, I'm just like also to add some thank you, and thank you to the interpreters, without which we couldn't reach out to so many people. So thank you to all the to all the people who give the opening remarks, and to collectively to all the ones that took part to this survey. I know it was maybe a bit long, and I was really happy to see that a good third of participants actually contributed with, you took actively, you shared your knowledge with us. So I cannot be thankful enough for that. For those who haven't, we keep the survey. We'll send the questionnaire to everyone, so we can have as many people bringing feedback and helping us to shape this project. I think I can tell that we are on the right track. We have identified the three types of gap: the knowledge gap, the institutional and legal gap, and the financing gap. I think on the first one, we have a lot of participation and a lot of agency already engaged in that. But I can see from the survey that there is a big demand for more standards, more legal framework. And this is something that we're going to work on, in particular, the advisory work that we looked into during the first working session. The financing gap is another one. We saw that the wastewater is a really big issue, and the feedback here was very clear. The issue of fertilizer, nitrogen, all this non-source point from rural origin also is clearly one of the big issue. And you were very consistent in your response. I mean, the priority investment was fully aligned with the priority pollution source. So this is also very good in terms of internal consistency. I really thankful for all the information you shared with the other eco grant competition, the other partner here. We're going to work with them. We already set up some of the meeting with the Black Sea Bank, for example. So I'm really excited to continue with that. I'm so thankful for all the input we received today. And I think with that, we can say this is, we can close this meeting, and I'm looking forward to the next steps. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you so much for your very valuable input. Bye-bye. And
Beranger, before concluding, we have a request from DG Mare for taking the floor.
I was not aware of that. Patricia, I'm really sorry. So the floor is
not
closed.
No problem, Beranger. I didn't want to have the last word for closing this interesting meeting. I just wanted really to congratulate with you, World Bank, with the BSEC and Rosita and Ambassador Christidis, because indeed this workshop was very concrete, very useful, interactive. So congratulations, because the process that you are implementing is going very fast, speed, and concrete. And I also take the opportunity also to mention that I'm happy to see that Sveto is part of the job. We were colleagues. He has been working in DG Mare in my unit for 6 years. So he has had a key role in achieving the signature of the Bucharest Declaration of the Common Maritime Agenda. He knows very well the area, the challenges and opportunities. So I'm very happy that we can keep working together. Voila. So good luck for next event, and bravo again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia. And good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for participating.